Well, howdy diddly dandy there, chums. 'Tis I, Captain of the Steves, and today, chums, for you guys out there in the viewerverse, I want to talk a little bit about No Man's Sky, the content I deliver for No Man's Sky, but particularly being the reviews I do for No Man's Sky. Now, when I sit down and review No Man's Sky's updates, whether they be large updates or whether they simply be the expeditions, I know that these reviews are going to get mixed feedback. If I go and say, it's a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10, it's the best thing since sliced bread, I know I'm going to have people sound up and say, well, you're a fanboy, you're a shield, you've sold out, or you're biased because that's all you do is cover No Man's Sky, you can't bite the hand that feeds, and all that sort of shenanigans. If I go and say, well, I feel this one's missed the mark, it didn't quite deliver on lore, or it didn't have this or that, or it was filled with bugs, I'm going to have people saying, well, if you don't like it, go and play something else. Or stop complaining, this update was free. It's very difficult. And I kind of feel that's why a lot of content creators out there kind of steer clear of doing reviews if they're a niche content creator for a certain game. And that makes things a little bit difficult. But what I like to try and do on this channel is bring you balanced opinions. And when I'm making these videos, when I'm doing review videos for No Man's Sky or any other game that is on my channel and going to be on my channel for a long time, I still stay balanced with my reviews. I look at what everybody's saying around this new update, be that on Steam reviews, be that on my YouTube, be it on other people's YouTubes. I see the comments that come in about this update, and I try to echo what the community is saying. But I don't say it to the community because the community already know. I try to make these videos as if I'm giving a critique to Hello Games, to the developers themselves. When I make my videos, I'm pretending that this is being watched by the developers at Hello Games. And you're probably thinking, well, surely that's content suicide, you know? But I've been told that Hello Games like my videos. And I was once approached for partnership to do an ad video for Hello Games. I did it one way, where I got all the different trailers and I talked about how the game's evolved and how it is today. And I submitted that to the ad agency. The ad agency came back and said, no, Captain Steve, they want you to do your normal style of video where you talk about expectations and speculations and go off on little jaunts on what you'd like to see coming next, how it's evolved and how it's all great now, but, you know, do a normal Captain Steve video. That's what they like. Hearing that back from the ad agency, since then I've kind of delivered my videos in a very different style. I kind of do this as like feedback as if it was going directly to Hello Games. And if you guys like it, you like it. If you guys don't like it, you don't like it. So when I get comments of people saying, oh, you're doing this just for the views. No, if I was doing this for the views, I'd be doing the opposite. You know, I wouldn't bother doing a review because I already know that I'm going to get either people that like it or really hate it. It's very Marmite. Reviews are just people's opinions at the end of the day, but I like to give my own opinion as a player, as a lover of No Man's Sky, because I do love this game. Okay, I want this game to be the best game it can be for everybody. And when an update launches and it's full of bugs, and some of those bugs being the most basic thing that you would have thought would have been picked up in the first or second round of bug testing by game developers. It's like, say like this latest expedition. We got given a new staff. Loads of players, when they've come off of this expedition, they go to claim their new staff, they can't. That to me is very basic. Or on the actual mission where you're asked to scan for a derelict freighter in the system where there should be a derelict freighter and there isn't one because an abandoned system of space has no structures there. To me, that's basic. It should have been found before it went public, especially when the previous expedition, the Cursed, had been extended for a week. You would have thought, oh, well, this is a great opportunity for our developers to jump in on every platform. Right, we've got this big team. I mean, if you hit credits inside a game, you can see how big the team is. Yeah, now something to point out inside of the actual credits for No Man's Sky is once you're on the main screen, if you just press X to go on to the next one, they actually do have testers already testing. I'd imagine these guys and gals do the testing, funny enough. So if they've got these testers I would be seriously questioning how they go about doing the testing. But there we go. Anyway, there's loads of other people listed. I'm not too sure what forerunners are, to be fair. I've heard of free runners. If they've got forerunners, man, maybe they're doing freaking backflips in the office. Who knows? Now, Sean of the Murrays, or whoever's in charge at the moment, says, right, you two people, you're on Apple Mac. You two people, you're on PlayStation. You two people, you're hitting up VR. Go and test this expedition to death and come back with all your notes of what you found that's bugged out at the moment. In one day, hopefully, you've tested every bloody platform, all right? Just one working day of that week that it got delayed for a week. Hopefully, you would have nailed it all. So, Hello Games, if you're not already doing this, again, this is critical feedback for you. Maybe just allocate one day and split your team across the whole of the expedition and say, test the fudge out of this. Maybe do it on the Monday before it's going to go live. So then the developers have got all week to fix it, and then you put it live on the Wednesday afterwards. And maybe do another run on the previous Monday, just to do a fine sweep and say, okay, well, now I think we've got everything. Developers, let's put as much of this in on a Tuesday, like a final patch. You know, all these patches that we get going like day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4 after a release? Try and do that before the release with your own dev team is what I'm kind of getting at with this one. You know, anyway, I've done some polls over with my community just to see how they would rate this new expedition. Now, I rated this a 7.6 out of 10. I think this last expedition, the Titan expedition, was around average to just above average. It had some pretty darn lovely planets in it, but we got all these rewards like a new Wraith ship, we got the new staff. But what we didn't get is the lore or story that goes behind these new objects. How did they come into iteration and why? You know, these new relic planets, the Wraith itself, we need some sort of backstory to them because they're pretty darn freaking awesome items. But pretty darn awesome items with no backstory or no lore kind of pulls away some substance from those items, in my opinion. When you're doing something as a game, it's like giving somebody this is the Sword of Eternia. Great, I've got the Sword of Eternia, people. I've got the Sword of Eternia. I've got the Sword of Eternia. But then if you said, this is the sword that Adam used to turn himself into He-Man, and it's the Sword of Eternia, it's got the power of Grayskull in it, and the Grayskull is a huge castle full of heroes that everybody worships. That Sword of Eternia has now got backstory. Like, the Sword of Eternia! You see what I'm saying? So to just get this relic staff and a Wraith ship, okay, fine. I'll stick those into archive. I could have just archived the best things ever in No Man's Sky and I wouldn't know. But anyway, let's go on over to these polls and let's take a look at where the community reviewed this. And let's see some of the community posts and see what they have to say about this, shall we? Okay, here we go. Okay, right, so we're over on my old polls, and here's the first one. I said if you was to score Expedition 17, Titan out of 10, what would you score it? Now, there's in between a 9 out of 10, only 6% of my community is hit up 6%. In between 7.5 to a 9, 23%. And that's exactly where I scored it. I gave it a 7.6, just in that cusp. To be honest, I think I might have been a little bit generous, especially when I see that most people, 24%, have hit 7.5 is what it's worth, or below. 47% of people, though, said that they just wanted to see the poll results. Well, they haven't played it or finished it as yet. Now, I'm going to scroll down and just, you can sort of see what people are sort of put in here anyway, just to give a general idea of what's going on there. So there's a few bits and bobs inside of here. If not for all the bugs, a lot of immersion breaking bugs, I would have rated it a 9. So many bugs, audio cuts, freezes, janky buttons, can't get into my ship almost every time. I'd give it a 4. Applied another patch today. It's a hot mess. Okay, so I kind of have to agree and disagree with that somewhat, but you've already seen my review. But at the end of the day, people's opinions matter. I just think that that's a giant swing from a 9 to a 4. If I was swinging between a 9 and a 4, I'd probably give it a 7. So you know what? That's why I say that I kind of agree, because that's where I scored it. So, yeah, average it out, you know. Had a big issue with the latest PS5 update, where it invalidated all my previous expeditions, so now I can't retrieve anything I've already claimed. Warfy Farquhar, the chap that I run the weekend missions with every Friday, he's got exactly the same problem. He's submitted it to the Zendesk. He hasn't had a reply as yet. I'm hoping that gets looked into, because I think there's a lot of people in the same boat. Cool. Mike UK, I enjoyed it, but it lacked any kind of story. It felt like, here you go, do all this. And here's a random new ship. Bye. Yeah. And a few people have echoed that same sentiment. So, yeah. So the thing has been out for days now, and half your viewers haven't even played it or are waiting for you to tell them about it. I think the good of the community at this point, like no fire, needs to come out pronto. Like it needs to come out yesterday. And players are checking it out. I replied to this and just put most of the ships inside the spatial anomaly today, and on Friday when I was running the weekend mission, are new player ships, you know, the Raza or whatever. Not many of the Wraith. Perhaps the newcomers are still navigating the game, and starting on a gas giant with killer tornadoes was a tad crazy. Okay, so right now it's 1 PM UK time, inside a multiplayer, on a Sunday, in the spatial anomaly, and you can see here there's 3 new starter ships just sitting on landing pads over here. This was the same. Oh look, then there's 3 over that side as well, but there's also 2 Wraiths. There's 2 Wraiths here too, so there's a bit of a mixture. There's people that have run the expedition, then there's people that haven't run the expedition, like I'd imagine, or else there'd be a what is it, a hauler that we got given for doing the actual expedition itself. But right now there's just a load of new player ships sitting in here. Maybe they're not quite ready for the content that can be delivered in. There's also 2 exotics, very nice to see. Yeah, there's my ship over on this landing pad over here. I don't think it used to have those green decals on the side. I think it may have changed colour, I could be wrong. I know if I was a new player and I jumped into the expedition, that was my first experience, I'd be like, what the fudge is this planet? This planet wants me dead. Yeah, that's probably why purple systems are sort of like gate locked. You know, you get there gradually. I get why Hello Games have done this, to showcase off the gas giants and things like that. And they did give us pretty substantial hazard protections for that starting gas giant. You could walk around it fairly willy-nilly without knowing you're going to die until a tornado hunts you down and kills you. But even that you get a badge for. But I can get why some people aren't eager to jump into this one. I really can. But at the same time, you know, 47% is a lot. So I've done another poll. I put on my last poll, scroll down a bit, almost 50% of people said they haven't finished or started the Expedition 17 Titan. Why is that? Now, I already knew the answer to this, but because people have said, you know, lots of people haven't played it yet, I thought I'd do a poll just to do a deep dive. But I already know that life comes in the way of doing other stuff. And I know that there's quite a lot of good games out at the moment that other people are playing. And also, Hello Games has said there's 6 weeks. 6 weeks for this expedition. So people are like, well, you know, let's just let the bug fixes get in, let it settle, and then let's jump in. Also, something that I didn't realise this, but it's still not out on Nintendo Switch. So a lot of people haven't played it because they're on Nintendo Switch. Anyway, here we go. Here's the poll results. Not a fan of expeditions, don't play them, 16%. Now, I've done these polls before, and I'm surprised at how many people don't enjoy expeditions, but then a lot of people just don't like starting over and the grind, and you can't change your mode, you can't get back up to where you need to be. I mean, yes, you can bring in your ship and you can bring in your multi-tool, you can make it easier for yourself, but it doesn't appeal to everybody. So that's something to keep in mind. Always wait a week for all bugs to be fixed. 25% of people feel that way. And to me, if I was Hello Games reading this and hearing this, I'd be like, we need to work on that. We need to hit the ball out of the park at launch. We need to be running from those blocks rather than letting people stumble around at the starting line, not wanting to run the race. Forgive the analogies, but 25% of it, that's a worrying statistic. That's something that Hello Games needs to work on and improve on. Imagine if that is still the case when they release their new game, when they release Light No Fire. People aren't willing to pre-order it, or people aren't willing to play it on day one because they know Hello Games' track record and think, well, it's probably not going to be the game that it needs to be for at least the first 2 weeks, maybe even longer. I mean, how long has it taken No Man's Sky to get from launch to where it is now? There could be some nervous people about. I think we need more on. I do believe from that last comment, what that person said, that people are hungry for Light No Fire. This expedition has shown off what the engine can do with all these fantastical biomes. To have these fantastical biomes and weather effects and deeper oceans all on one planet, it's going to be something special as Light No Fire. I just hope it's gamified enough to keep me interested and keep me wanting to explore that world. Life, other games, and we have 6 weeks to run it. 58% of people hit that up. That's where a large portion of that previous vote has come in. Seen many complaints on this one. We'll do a shorter redux. Only 1% of people have hit that up. Now, I'm not the only person that has complained about this. Like I say, there's complaints all over the interweb. I'm glad that the complaints have not swayed people's opinion of running this expedition. I put this one in there mainly to see if my poor review of it, I mean, I say it's a poor review, it got a 7.6. It's still not my worst expedition. I scored, what was it, the companion-y type one, really low. Exobiology. I scored exobiology really low, mainly because it was really hard to find the creatures from the descriptions of what planet they should be on. The creatures were on the wrong freaking planets. It took ages, that one. It was random numbers games. It had you flying around on a mount for ages in circles like a beetle and stuff. That one took me like 6 hours, and there wasn't hardly any story in it or lore either tied into it. The rewards weren't even as good as Inside of Titan. No, so Exobiology was one of my worst expeditions. I scored that as 7. So it's not the worst. So, and plus, like I say, this is critical feedback, more so for the developers of No Man's Sky, Hello Games, rather than the viewers in a roundabout way. I still feel that I need to echo, though, what I'm seeing in my community from all the comments and what I'm seeing across the interwebs about something. If I just said, oh, this is a 9 out of 10, when it blatantly isn't, people are going to lose faith in my reviews. I need to keep it balanced. So anyway, let's scroll on down. Let's see what you guys are saying. Expedition finished. Expedition was great, says Converged Entity. I'd like to take my time on each planet. Also, with work life, I play about for an hour a day. Just take my time. No rush, says Power Yapper. And I think that's a nice sentiment. I mean, being a content creator, I have slightly larger priorities to get the content out there and get it out there quick. But I am hoping to do a playthrough on Monday. Monday is my birthday. And I'm hoping to play through at a very steady rate. I'm going to be talking to my chat and all that sort of stuff. And I want to take my time with it. And I want to spend a bit longer on each planet as well. And also give some tips. I mean, a lot has changed. They've actually fixed that freighter underwater now. That should actually work. So I just want to do a playthrough for anybody that's picking it up a little bit later. Considering that 50% of my audience haven't done it yet, there's still a lot of people that will probably want to tune in Monday and watch me run it. So it's a case of reading between the lines. A lot of this is reading between the lines. When you're a content creator, I feel that you have a duty to echo what everybody is saying and to give people a platform to say it through you to the developer. That's kind of what I see content creation being, as like an extension of what the player base is saying, rather than just having my own personal opinions, which I also convey anyway. But I also like to echo some of the things that I'm seeing and some of the gripes that I'm seeing. So yeah, look, there we go. Not on Switch yet. Still shows us 3 days left on the last Redux. That's insane. That was 4 hours ago. And also Switch. I'm on Switch. Just tried trying to get hit by a tornado, so I just used my save editor. Okay. Got tired of trying to get hit by a tornado, so I just used my save editor to unlock the expedition shizzle. Righto. Each to their own. However you want to play, you want to play. It's cool. At least you gave it a try. You tried it first. Didn't work out for you. Do what you need to do to get the stuff. Okay. Lovely. Now, I do get quite a lot of comments like, say, this one by Jeremy Deere. Your channel is going downhill, man. I don't know what's going on in your personal life, but I hope everything's okay. You don't seem your positive self these days. Well, I'm a very positive chap. I like to think I am anyway. I'm a bit bedazzled that that's come across. I mean, my personal life is fine. It's fine. I mean, I have ups and downs like any other. But at the same time, anyway, I responded to this. I put 2 updates full of bugs. Wells Part 2 was awesome for the variety it delivered, but all the bugs has me reading lots of negative feedbacks and complaints. All I am doing is saying what I see. I have to echo what all of my community is saying, which I thought was a decent enough reply. I thought it'd get left at that. But then Jeremy came back with, what update hasn't had bugs or issues? They always patch out the bugs in a timely manner. You don't have to echo the masses. You can lead by example, but I guess negativity gets more views. And it's actually had I've hit like and heart to everything, because when you do that inside of YouTube Studio, it clears down the messages so you know which ones you've read and which ones you haven't. So that's why I do that. I hit a like and a heart to everything just to get it out of my feed, so then I can see the new messages easier. Right, well, I've already pointed out that doing reviews costs me quite dearly, in actual fact, because you're either a fanboy or you're a hater. There's no in between. Whenever you do a review, people are going to see you one way or the other, and you actually reduce future views by half, if anything. So no, I'm not doing it for views. So I replied and I said, really? I'm being balanced, not praising how quickly they fix bugs that shouldn't have been there in the first place. I mean, I pointed out earlier how they could quite easily tackle all of this, and try to get some of these bugs out of it beforehand. A lot of them were basic. Heck, they extended the curse. They could have used that time to run the expedition a few times to test it, or put it into experimental branch for PC players to test it, but no. And this, like you say, happens every time. I mean, they've said it themselves. This happens all the time. And you know that they're going to fix it. But why should we get used to that? Why is that a common thing that we're all used to? Okay, legacy players, we're used to that. We're used to that. There's a certain breed of No Man's Sky player that is used to that pattern. And we're kind of a dying breed, let's face it. It's the new players that are bringing the growth. It's the new players that are bringing in the revenue. It's the new players that are keeping Hello Games making more updates that bring in new players. If you can't see that, then I can't really help you all that much. Okay, so again, and this also goes to the argument of it being free. It hasn't been free to the people that just bought it in a sale, that have come in hoping for a bug-free experience. This is a 9-year-old game, and if they do come in and they get a load of bugs and they can't access the content that they've just paid for in the trailer they just watched that made them buy it, then I'm fairly sure they're going to get a little ticked off. And if you go over to Steam and read the latest negative reviews, it's all about the bugs. And that spreads, and at the moment that their Steam reviews have been climbing and getting up and getting up. They've been doing such a good job, and then they release Worlds Part 2, which is amazing when it comes to visuals, but it's locked in a purple systems where these new players can't see it. So all the new players are seeing is bugs and old planets. How can I not reflect that in my reviews and when I'm talking about this stuff? Okay. Anyway, you can read what I've put on the screen anyway. And I've said, I scored it a 7.6 out of 10, which isn't a bad score. It's not a bad score. And I've pinned this comment so I can find it easier. But I feel I need to echo exactly what people are saying out there inside of the verse. And I feel that if I did just say, oh, this is a 10 out of 10, and I ignored all the negative feedback, I think that would damage my channel more than talking about the things that I would like to see improved in future updates. Because if I just said this is a 10, it's a 9 out of 10, it's a 10. If Sean Murray or Hello Games saw my review, they say, well, we'll just carry on doing that then. We'll just carry on pumping them out. We'll let the actual community bug fix all these. Lovely jubbly. Let's not worry about the new players. Let's just keep doing it because we've got this chap who's willing to hype us out no matter what we do. Boom, there we go, boom. There's another one, there's another one. And before you know it, every update we get is going to be janky. I just feel there needs to be some critical feedback that Hello Games can take on board. I mean, and at least digest, you know. But yeah, it's one of those things, people. It's one of those things. It's very tricky. It's very tricky. So, the main takeaway from this video is, if I'm being critical about an update, it's not because I hate the game. It's because I want future updates to be improved when it comes to launch and player retention for new players. The growth is coming from the new players, the people that are purchasing the game. You only have to go into the spatial anomaly and see all the new ships after each update to see just how many new players make up the ratio of who's playing No Man's Sky at a given point in time. I want their experience to be bug-free. I want their experience to be smooth. I want them to have confidence to go and tell their friends, I just bought a game and you need to look at it. It's No Man's Sky. It's freaking amazing. That's what I want being said out there. Word of mouth is very powerful. And my reviews, they're mainly for the hell of the games, but also for people like you that enjoy watching a balanced reviews. I mean, you've probably been on this journey with me. You've probably seen the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to No Man's Sky. And you know that I'm talking sense. If you play this game, you know that I'm talking from the heart, and it's my own personal belief that this game is the best space game out there, maybe even the best game period. I mean, if you play this in VR, it blows every other VR game out the window when it comes to what you can do. It's a virtual simulation of the universe, and you can do everything. You can cook, you can fish, you can fly a ship, you can go from... It's amazing in VR. If there was more VR players, that'd be freaking insane. It's like a second life, but inside of a massive universe. I really hope like No Fire's got a VR version. But other than that, these videos that I do for multiple reasons. And I know that it's going to upset some people, but the people that really matter are the new players and are the people at Hello Games that can make this whole experience better for those new players. And also, I often put out there what I would like to see as a returning player, as a legacy player, the things that I feel need to be in the game to keep people like me coming back time and time again. I'm trying to deliver something for everybody. And I know that you're always going to upset some people when you're trying to please everyone. You can never please everyone. So even though that I pinned that comment, I'm going to unpin it now after I've made this video, so I don't have to go hunting for it. I've had much worse comments than that. Okay, if you saw some of the comments I have on a day-to-day basis, and I don't block them. Sometimes YouTube actually puts them in a held area because they're so bad. And sometimes I go in, I read them, and then I click on the person's head, and it shows me all the other comments that that person has made. If the majority of their comments are quite nice and they're being quite respectful, I even allow that one that's disrespectful. I had one guy call me a retard the other day. Well, I've just allowed that one today because it did make me chuckle. Just because I've done an AI thumbnail. But he's been quite nice on some of my other videos, so boom, allow. Yeah, it was like an AI thumbnail, you lazy retard. Brilliant. It did make me laugh. But yeah, so allowed that. But if I go into the held area and I click a comment and it's like, I can't believe you've sold out to this, why don't you try other games? Oh my god, you're a one-trick pony. And then I click on that person and all their comments have been like that on a lot of them, I'll just hit hide from channel. Because at the end of the day, I know that other people are going to be coming there, seeing that comment and thinking, maybe they might have a point. And then before you know it, you've got people that are watching out of hate rather than out of interest. And I don't want that on my channel. If you allow negativity to thrive and spread, it does. So I do like to try and keep this uplifted. I do like to try and keep this to put a smile on people's face. Even when I'm making a video like this, which is a little bit sort of ranty-ish, it's still, I hope, entertaining and puts a smile on your face at times. I hope you're laughing along with me at these points, at these pain points. And when I say pain points, I'm a content creator. How painful is it? I'm living the dream in a roundabout way. I'm making videos, I'm making you smile. And you know what? all I'm doing is playing video games that I super love, or talking about things that I'd be talking about with my friends down at the local pub or something that I found on the internet that's entertained me. And I get to do that with you guys. I feel very humbled by it all. I really do. And I'm honoured to be in this position. And the last thing I want to do is upset you. Okay, just keep that in mind. The last thing I want to do is upset you. I don't want to attack the game. I don't want to attack Hello Games. I feel that what I do is give critical feedback where critical feedback is needed. And I'm taking what all my community is saying, putting it into a summary, making it entertaining and light. Even if it's negative, I hope I bring a positive to it. I give suggestions on what could be done, in my own opinion, what I think could work with the game mechanics. I find it odd when people come out just to type in my comments to attack me. It doesn't feel... I wouldn't do it on somebody else's channel. If I don't like what they're saying, I just stop watching. But I don't stop watching immediately. I'd carry on watching maybe another 3 or 4 or 5 videos. And if I find that it's the same and I'm like, hold on, this isn't for me anymore, then I just unsubscribe. I don't take to the comments and say, oh, your channel's going downhill. Oh my God, how can you be doing it? No, you know, I wait and see if it evolves and changes. I mean, the next update could be a complete banger. It could have quality rather than quantity. It could be deep. It could bring narrative. It could bring story and lore. And I honestly think that is on the cards. I think Hello Games is doing a massive setup for the delivery of the Void Mother and the Realm of Glass and everything else that all this hinges on. And I'm hopefully they're going to give rhyme or reason to all these relic systems. Are we seeing glimpses of the past? Are we also going to see glimpses of future as well? I mean, these echoes, they seem to not sort of have any sort of time frame. They seem to be blips everywhere, you know? There's so many ways that Hello Games could go with all this lore, and I'm super excited for the rest of the year. And I've always been excited for the potential that is No Man's Sky. It's just oodles of potential, and let's face it, Hello Games has ticked so many boxes. We wanted ship customization, it's there. We wanted bases, they're there. We wanted freighters and capital ships, they're there. We wanted more storage for our ship inventory. That got added. Same with our multi-tools. Yes, you can have an archive. Everything that the community has asked for comes into fruition. It might not come into fruition in the next 3 or 4 months, but it comes into fruition in time. And I honestly think this whole new element of the Void Mother and the Realm of Glass, I think is going to be something larger that Hello Games wants to deliver in, perhaps with the Ariadne story path. So let's just wait and see what happens. Let's see if they're listening, because I'm not the only person that's been saying this for some time. There's quite a lot of people that have been hoping that that's where this is leading. Let's see if it leads that way. Let's see if it does bring in endgame to do. I mean, let's face it, this last Worlds Part 2 has given us new resources, new planet types, a whole new system. Now we just need things to do inside of that new sandbox, because that's how it is. It's kind of a new sandbox. Think of World of Warcraft when you hit level 40. It kind of changes into a whole new game. I'm kind of feeling that once No Man's Sky hits that plateau and you've S-classed everything, it's starting to hit a whole new area. You know, we now need more hazard protection. We now need our stuff to be S-class. We probably are going to get more threats added in. Who knows? Anyway, goodbye, and goodbye again.